In this video, we're going to get you started actually building your new site. And the first topic we're going to discuss is whether you should build the site or instead buy one that's already approved by Google. This is always an appropriate question to ask in any business endeavor. Should you buy something or outsource something, or should you do the work yourself and build something yourself? And that's dependent on a number of factors. Probably the most important factor is simply, can you afford to buy? This is not the only factor, but if you can afford it, you have approximately $3,000 that it would take to buy a brand new, newly approved news site. Then you pass that test and you can afford it, and then the question is really whether you should do it. And one of the important things to know is there a good one available for sale? I showed you Flippa.com in an earlier video, and Flippa is the leading website sales marketplace, but there are other places on the web that you can buy sites. There are a number of businesses that buy and sell websites. There are also some forums like Digital Point forums where occasionally you can find sites for sale. But the question here is not only is there one available, but is it a good one? And good in this case means, does it have a good name? Does it have a professional sounding name? And is it at the right price? One of the questions to ask is whether it's safe to buy it. You may have noticed when we showed you some Flippa screens earlier that a number of the Google News sites had the URL hidden. The reason for that is that in times past, I don't know if it's always the case, but Google has sometimes revoked syndication or delisted news sites that were for sale on Flippa. And I believe that that was primarily the case when the news site did not seem to meet Google News's standards. And I talked about the standards earlier. They're looking for a news organization. They're looking for good journalistic content. And if an internet marketer gets on Flippa and decides to sell his site and he says, you know, I write all the articles myself under different names, I just rewrite articles, and I don't do any original writing, and so on. If he makes those kinds of comments when he's selling his news site, then it can give Google the idea that that's not an appropriate news site, and Google could revoke the status of the site right after the buyer buys it, or even during the sales process. So you want to, if you do buy a site, I think you want it to have URL hidden. You want the potential buyers to have to sign the non-disclosure agreement before they bid. Those things as a minimum. And if you do those things, I think it's fairly safe that Google will not desyndicate the site. I personally have bought and sold a number of sites and haven't run into this problem. However, others have run into it, but usually when the domain name has been openly stated in the sale. You also want to, as in any domain or website purchase, evaluate who the seller is as much as possible. It's much better if they have a reputation on Flippa or wherever you're buying it, where they've bought and sold other sites, and there's good feedback indicating that the person is honorable and has integrity and will follow through with what they say, and those kinds of things. If you buy from a brand new person or you don't really know the person, then you can run into problems later on. Maybe they won't deliver everything to you, or maybe it won't be as they claimed it was when they do deliver it. If you think you want to buy, you also need to look carefully at the articles on the site itself. You can go back through the history of the archives of articles on the site and look for things that, like plagiarism, to find out if an article has been plagiarized. You can copy and paste the text into Copyscape.com Premium. They'll charge you a nickel for each article that you check, but that will tell you with a pretty good degree of accuracy whether any of the text in the article was copied from some other source. Now, it's possible other articles have since copied that one, so you can't really know that except based on the date. But that'll give you a good idea of the originality of the articles, and it would be a good idea to check a number of the articles for plagiarism before you buy the site. You also want to look for evidence of spamming, and what we mean here is that the articles may be considered spam if all of them have very, very similar titles. Like if you saw a series of articles that started with the word holiday costumes for men, holiday costumes for women, holiday costumes for pets, holiday costumes for young girls, or whatever, and you got the sense that the news publication was really spamming a particular topic area very hard and writing a large number of articles that maybe don't have unique or value added content. These are the kinds of things that Google kind of frowns at. So if you see those things, then Google might also see those things, and you might want to stay away from sites that have articles like that. You also would buy a site if for some reason you really wanted to get started quickly, because building a site and then waiting for Google to approve it can take some time, and obviously buying is a lot quicker way to get your foot in the door.